Hi everybody, welcome to the Cambridge Power Platform User Group Summer Session. We have got lots lined up for you today, but just wanted to say I'm Sharon Sumner, Microsoft Business Applications and now MS Apps and Services MVP, and we've got some fantastic speakers lined up for you today. So let's get started. Quick code of conduct, just be aware that we are being recorded. So if you're part of the session and you come off camera or you chat, then this session will be live on YouTube. So just be aware of that. And also just to make you aware of what we tolerate and what we don't in terms of behaviours. Won't read them out to you, assume everybody can read. But please just be nice. Okay, so what have we got today? So bit of an introduction by me. That's where we are currently. First up is going to be Vesku, and he's going to talk to us about the Metaverse. What even is this thing, and how is Microsoft enabling us to all play in the Metaverse? Fascinating stuff, and I'll let Vesku jump straight in with that straight after the intro. After that, we have got the lovely Sancho here, who's been on the user group before many times, and today he's going to share with us his Power Apps top tips. Really looking forward to that one. And then we've got James Armstrong. If you haven't met James, James is from Microsoft, and he'll be talking to us about the brand new Power Pages topic and how that's coming along now. It's getting towards GA and we can all start having a play with some real features there. So we thought that was a really keen one to represent today. And then last but not least, regular guest Chris Hord is going to be here to talk to us about Loop. Again, a brand new feature that we really wanted to cover with the user group, find out how you're using it, what you think to it, or how you might use it in the future. So he's going to be looking specifically at the components in Teams and Outlook. So really looking forward to this. Again, Q&A. So what we'll do is we'll try and build Q&A into each of the sessions. Happy for you to put all of your questions in chat and we'll ask those of the presenters for you, but do feel free to interject. And you know me, I don't have a problem interrupting speakers to get you the answers that you need. So pop those in chat and that'll either be moderated directly or we'll address that straight to the speaker during the session. So let's get started. Let's get straight into some content. So do you know what, Vesku? Would you like to introduce yourself? We've got this lovely content about you here. But, nothing quite.
Thank you, Sharon. I will have an intro slide of mine during the session as well, but yeah, I'm a principal consultant and Microsoft MVP on Office Apps and Services. And by the way, Sharon, congratulations on the double MVP.
Thank you.
That's amazing stuff. And back to me, basically working on the Metaverse and future work. And that's what I do. I work as an evangelist, I work as a visionist, futurist, and of course, meeting with companies and business leaders and trying to kind of attempt to see, okay, what's the value here about the Metaverse? And of course, I do Teams as well. So it's just not about the Metaverse. So it's a kind of all around role, but I really love the future tech and collaboration, and of course, through that, the productivity aspect. All right.
And we absolutely
that was long text. People can read it.
We have an event to talk about, don't we?
Yes, we have. We have the Metaverse 1 that's coming on September 7th. And I'm one of the organizers there. Chris Hord is the other one, and the rest of the organizers are the Teams Nation gang. We are there organizing the new event, dropping the Teams Nation and coming to the Metaverse. Of course, this one is going to go through Teams, but we might have some nice surprises there as well. I have one slide at the end of my session, so stick around for that. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting. It's smaller than the Teams Nation, and that's intentional. It's an inaugural event. So we want to kind of start building the new one, testing the grounds and see what's happening there.
Fantastic. We'll put some links so that people can register at the end of the video, and we'll also put on YouTube for you as well. All right, I'm going to hand straight over to you then. If you want to get started with your session and steal the screen, over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. It should be sharing. Not yet. Of course, let's try again. The PowerPoint is a bit big, but Hey, there it is. And we are back in business. So my session is all about, of course, about the metaverse. And in a sense, I have only something like 25 minutes, so I'm not going to talk about everything about the metaverse. I will be taking the Microsoft or generic productivity, collaboration, and work kind of an angle here. Kind of what does it mean for people? What does it mean for employee experience? And why it is important? Why it's such a big game changer? Why businesses and enterprises need to be interested about that? So I'm going to go through some key concepts here and some of the reasons, and of course, highlighting some use cases for you to understand, okay, how this thing is going to get started and going forward. And since I already introduced myself, I don't have to kind of go through this again, but except, of course, I have my alter ego here, my digital twin kind of showing up in the metaverse sessions. But please do follow me on social, and of course, you can read my blog. I just published one article there yesterday. The big question, I guess, it's on the Sharon and on the others kind of lips is just, okay, what is the metaverse? There's so many definitions about the metaverse, just like there's a lot of definitions for hybrid work and everything else. There's usually a hype, and there's some kind of a title or name for that, and it's people have very different views what it is. But for me, or how I want to talk about it usually, it's about bringing the extra layer to the real world. So in sense, we are connecting the physical world to the digital one, and we are connecting the digital world to the physical one. So we are bringing that digital layer on top of everything. And that digital layer will provide us a lot of services. We all use Microsoft Cloud. So in very, very broad sense, we are already using the metaverse. We are sending information to the digital world, and we are receiving that. We are sending a lot of sensor readings there. If you have a smartwatch, you are carrying a smartphone with you. You are always connected there. So in that sense, you are spatial already. There's a locational awareness. So the digital world is following you. And of course, on top of that, it's persistent, just like Teams meetings. So it's not just something that's happening for a single moment of time, but instead you can access that information. You can join different worlds. You can go on with the metaverse. You can get more information, and that is kind of a fabric, as Microsoft was telling, that you have that digital fabric that's connecting you to these services. It's going to bring the help of AI to help you there. You have, for example, Azure services. You have everything at your fingertips in a very in some sense. Okay, some people don't really think about, okay, that's not the metaverse. Metaverse needs to be something like you can move between these 3D worlds, or you have your avatar and everything that belongs to you, and you are going through a single metaverse there. But on the other hand, what I think about the enterprise metaverse is that, okay, we are taking these capabilities in and we are doing that connection. And some people have the same kind of a feeling for this slide as I have. Yes, I'm a fan of cyberspace and cyberpunk, so it kind of reflects me on the metaverse. And to me, metaverse is, of course, something that I have been growing up, not in the term with the term metaverse, but with everything about this, being a fan of sci-fi and cyberpunk and everything like that. It's something, okay, hey, this is coming reality. This was on the 80s. It was something like, okay, we were thinking about that or seeing visions about that, but didn't think about when it will be the reality. So yeah, I have read the books and watched the movies. But in the business sense, of course, it's about connecting the physical world to the digital one. And that's the key thing. And one of the metrics here about, okay, why the metaverse is really important. is that people are going towards the hybrid work. A lot of hybrid people are going to be working remotely, and the organizations is having issues already. These figures are from this year's work trend index, and that's reflecting basically what was happening last year and what's coming up. So there are issues. It's not perfect. We don't love these meetings like meeting after meeting after meeting. And we know we have lost some of the connection. We have lost some of the togetherness with others. And on the other side of that work trend index, half of the people are open-minded for this new world. Okay, what immersive spaces, digital spaces, or meetings in a very different 3D VR world, or having some kind of activities. And people, I suppose it is because people are very hopeful that it's going to change something in this current situation. So all that behind us, okay, like building on those, we know that the hybrid work is here to stay. The world has changed, and we are changing. Something about this digitalization, what is happening is that we are accelerating. The change of pace is growing up. Things are going to be happening faster and faster. And if you just do things the way you did before, you are going to be left out. That's going to happen to enterprises. That's going to happen to businesses. If you don't react to that, you don't do anything. It's going to be that way. That okay, you can't keep up. And so the organizations need to be able to respond to changes. They have to be agile and so-called responsive organizations. If you want to stay competitive in the future, you have to change. And you have to be flexible and you have to empower your employees. Because without your employees, well, you're in a kind of trouble. You can't automate everything and have robotics doing everything. And there are other challenges, like the asynchronous work. We are going to be doing more that because we can't be on the meetings all the time. We just can't we don't have that time. So Chris Hord is going to talk about that Hyperloop, Microsoft Loop. I really loved his session title. That's excellent one later today. So check that out, because I think the loop is one of those components that's going to help us do work asynchronously. But there's going to be more of that. It's about, okay, how we are conducting those meetings, how we are being smart and intelligent with them. But with all that, there's going to be the learning challenge, how we are the leading challenge, how we are leading these teams that are working asynchronously. Are we connected enough? How do we onboard new people? And how we work together? That's a big challenge. And the next generation of employees are our future colleagues. They expect better tools and practices than what we have gotten used to. I'm talking about myself and my age here. So you have to think about the employee workday experience, and you have to think about developing the organization culture and how you are leading the change. And that's not something you do with just basically with HR or marketing and communications. It needs the involvement of the whole organization. So the metaverse, it can help. It can enable us a lot in this new employee experience. What we are hoping, and of course what we have already seen, is that we are going to be getting more togetherness because we have the presence. We are in that space together. So when you are bringing in the immersive meeting experience, well, we know the Mesh for Teams, Microsoft Mesh. Yes, we are waiting for those. We have been waiting for those, and I'm still waiting for those. But yes, I'm very anxious about that. But you can actually already try that if you have HoloLens. You can use the Mesh preview application there, and you can have that feeling of presence and togetherness when you are meeting someone with that mixed reality or AR environment. And meeting people at the old space parties or old space events, we have seen, okay, that's something totally different, especially if you put the headset on. which most of the people won't be doing. But those who have, they are getting to that immersive experience. And in that, the innovation and collaboration, co-creation is going to go forward, because again, we might be there together despite being a very different virtual physical spaces. So we have that feeling that, okay, we are feeling that we are working on this together. We have this kind of experience together that we can work in a workshop, unlike in this kind of 2D meeting, that when we are not that connected, because we are showing the slides and we are seeing the small video and etc. And on top of that, we are getting the spontaneous action with persistent metaverse spaces. We drop in, we see who else is in there, what's going to happen. And that's kind of a base thing here. So bringing that meetings, events, onboarding experience together, we are going to be there together. And there's lots of technology that's going to help us with automatic translations. That comes for inclusion. Let's enable everyone. Hey, we have this team of people. We need to make sure that everybody can be included. So there might be a language barriers. There might be some other disabilities. Okay, let's bring everyone in. Avatars can help us to express ourselves better, especially if there's some issue there. We include people through avatars. And when we get to that, we are going to be able to empower these more diverse teams. And more diversity means that we are going to get better results and more ideas, because we are not just in the same bubble with like-minded people. And that's a really big thing. There's a question about, do you think that projected room scale augmented reality for creating the meeting room like presence experience more likely to take the lead as opposed to wearables? Yes, I think I wrote one blog post about that I think the AR is going to take the lead. It might be the rooms, exactly the room scale augmented reality. It might be some kind of holoportation with cameras, something like that. But I think it needs to be lightweight. We are going to be using wearables, some of us, and my Mesh for Teams is going to enable us to use Teams in 2D mode to access those. That's a very important thing. We are empowering all those 270 million plus monthly active users to enter the metaverse through Teams, and that without any extra devices. They can then start using tablets, phones, laptops, and headsets to be there. So that's kind of a big thing. Business experience is, of course, about, okay, how we meet, collaborate, how we do business in the metaverse. That's a big thing. Thinking about the digital twins, okay, we have facilities, we have offices, we have processes, people, we can, and we should digitalize everything. So we have the digital counterpart, the digital twin of that. It might be that our head of sales might be digitalized, so he can or she can present the sales pitch in the metaverse to people 24/7. But when they actually go and meet that person in person later during the sales process, they are already familiar with that person, and that's some big thing about, hey, I know this person, I can talk to him. I saw you in the metaverse. so it's going to create interesting possibilities. The learning and training is going to change, because when we are in a 3D, we might be in a VR environment, virtual environment, we might be in the augmented reality environment, and it's going to speed up. It's been proven basically by some studies. Sorry, I don't have a reference, but it has been mentioned a lot of times that learning in VR and training is much more efficient. People are usually more focused compared to especially to this kind of training. It's usually more inspirational, it's more motivational, it can show you things you couldn't do in the physical world. So it can help really on that part. Yesterday, I wrote a blog post or published a blog post about the field worker, a kind of perfect day for field worker, talking about the field service and there, and how you basically can operate facilities. I didn't mention that too much, but it's in the blog post. So you can kind of go and get that service to the next level. You can really optimize and utilize your field workers a lot better if you are going to the Metaverse side. That's basically HoloLens and stuff. I talk about that a bit later. And of course, as mentioned, the AI is everywhere. Artificial intelligence, how we can use the data, how we can utilize it. Do we get better ideas and hints from the AI? Basically, it's our assistant. We have a digital assistant everywhere, wherever we go, and much more, because this is just a short session and kind of scratching the surface. I think those are really key things, because I could talk about the virtual tourism, pre-onboarding experience, have virtual operation rooms and everything. Like, how do you bring the data together? How do you use these digital twins? And all that is going to come up with cost savings. And for organizations, that's a big thing. Money, resiliency, how we stand up to the change, how we sustain ourselves, how we sustain this planet. You can go to very different variations there. But what's important, using the imaginations to create the new business services and models. And no, I'm not just talking about the NFT. I had to mention that. But thing is that depending on the business, there are really different approaches. But the key thing is to go forward and driving and evolving your digitalization. And to talk about, okay, is the digital twin something that's really hard or difficult? Well, we LiDAR scanned our office at Helsinki. So this is just a short clip about the digital twin, okay, going through the office, going to the meeting room, checking out the MTR, Microsoft Teams room device there. And so you can get familiarize yourself with our public side. And of course, it's important to find the coffee machine, okay, where it is. So when I can get in, I know, okay, there it is. And there's some other drinks as well. And of course, people do love candy. So it's really important on the onboarding or process that you know where to find that shelf. So even with something like this simple, and it doesn't even have the extra, like what you could be doing there just for viewing, it's very powerful. And the field worker, I really love this approach. That's why I wrote the blog post, because what's available already in Dynamics 365, the field service, the guides, the remote assist together, and can kind of bring things, make things easier. Like this in this video, the just started the frontline worker or a field worker is going to install something, and she was lost. This is Microsoft Dynamics 365 guides announcement video or some kind of ad from that for that, and so she gets the HoloLens and can see through that guides the next steps she has to make, and she sees them in the AR and can do the work better, because the training was perhaps not a very good one. So you would have to have a checklist, or it would be really slow. But with that, that's a big thing. You can apply that kind of service to lots of places. And of course, the remote assist that has been there for a very long time. It's very useful with the HoloLens, but you can use that also with the phone or tablet. But I really love the way the HoloLens is actually going to change the industrial metaverse and manufacturing metaverse. And of course, that's the one of the topics I talk about in the Metaverse 1 conference. It's Big Industry, my session title there. And in the metaverse, as kind of you have guessed, it's mixed reality, or AR, XR plus virtual reality is going to be better together. So bringing in those meeting rooms, combining them with the physical and virtual meeting rooms, making up people work together to the same goals. And I think that's part of the story that's going to make the truly hybrid experience, and it's going to make that work better, a lot better. using those digital twins, LiDAR scanned offices, and using them for guided tours, for example. Go through the training, go through the site, go through the kind of a safety training there. Where are the fire exits? So you can kind of roam through the building or the factory before you even step foot there. So and it's going to change the way we learn, because already guessing from that, using the digital twins and getting that information. And of course with the AR, hey, we are on the site, we are on the building, we can see that information through the AR devices. That's why I think the AR is going to be a very big thing. And this is going to change the way we meet, because we are going to creating those experiences and memories. And Mesh for Teams, it's going to make that easy one. That's why I really love it, love that part. And just some of the use cases to highlight. I've gone through some of them. For example, in this build video, you can see, okay, the kind of executive meeting space / digital war room, where you can bring in that information, 3D models, more data, Power BI reports, as we see, applications. So you have the information there that will help on the decision making, especially if you had a very crisis situation. You really need to go forward with that. But of course, I think the first ones will be the new employees onboarding. That's very useful, and there's already use cases in the world about that, using Altspace or some other ones. But yes, you can get people know each other when they are onboarding. And of course, when you are starting to think about those big events, okay, how we are going to make this possible. What about stores? There's already examples about furniture stores, for example, or some other stores that, okay, you are highlighting your offering in that digital twin experience so people can see and check out the good goods from different angles. Hey, let's buy that. Virtual tourism, that's a huge thing. But I really think the big thing is going to be on the industrial metaverse in the beginning, because there's already so much ready in there. There's so much IoT, there's so much digital twins available, there's big number of data. So manufacturing industry is obviously one of the first ones that's going to continue using that. I'm not saying starting, because there are a lot of them are already using that, but it's going to expand. Or the facility management. I really love the thing that, okay, you could be having a HoloLens meeting or a virtual reality meeting, and you can basically dissect the building and see different layers. For example, how you are using data, how you are using electricity, what's the heat map around the building? Should we start optimizing that? Are there anything about the security part? So you can bring in a lot of information into these displays. So to kind of cooling down with the metaverse before going to metaverse 1, basically the digitalization is going forward. We are going to be seeing, based on Satya Nadella, is that about in the next 10 years, we are going to be seeing a lot more digitalization that we have seen in 20, 30 years, 40 years. So it's going to accelerate, and we are going to be going much, much faster in there. And the metaverse is going to be the key thing there. So I think the advice for organizations and everyone is to start thinking how we are going to be using that, how this is going to change our business, how the hybrid work is changing, how we are supporting our employees. Because the employee workday experience and work culture, it needs to evolve and change as well. And of course, the much promised Metaverse 1, yes, there's a link, you can click on that and you can go ahead and register in, please. We are going to have that 18 speakers divided into 3 rooms, 17 sessions. So we are going to be running a lot smaller conference than we did with Teams Nation. So it's of course, attendee friendly, because you have to jump only between 3 tracks this time. There's lots of great sessions coming from, for example, Chris Hord is talking about metaverse ethics. So you have more philosophical or business-like kind of sessions, how you're going to be using that, into very good technical deep dive sessions about mixed reality toolkit and about the HoloLenses and going through some coding parts as well. So it's a very, I think it's a very nice balance on the very deep dive tech or hardcore tech connecting to the business side, because that's what the metaverse is also is. We are making the business understand, okay, why this is important, but on the other hand, we have to implement that part as well. And we are getting the HoloLux back with the after party. They are going to create an after party in VR, Altspace VR. So hopefully we are seeing you there. But before the after party, of course, let's not forget the ending keynotes. We have Pune Kaufman from mixed reality team from Microsoft talking about. She hasn't told us yet, so we are going to be keeping that secret a bit. But she's doing the ending keynotes, and then Caruana Gatimu is talking about the steps towards the metaverse as well. She's from the Microsoft Teams product group. So 2 great end keynotes, and of course you don't want to miss those. And thank you, Sharon, for sharing the link to the chat. So I think I was, I don't know if I was rushing through or not, but I'm going to say thank you or kiitos for listening and watching. And you can join me on the other events as well. Of course, the Metaverse One, it's on 7th of September. I will be speaking at Cloud 8 Summit about the Metaverse, of course. That's online event as well, so feel free to join. But there's a few in-person events I wanted to highlight. Is GITEX at Dubai, ESPC, the European SharePoint conference at Copenhagen, Denmark, and then jumping to the Las Vegas to talk about Metaverse in Microsoft 365 conference. So it's going to be fun. And of course, I'm hoping that I will be speaking at the Ignite somehow and at the South Coast Summit at UK, but fingers crossed. We'll see what's going to happen. So, Sharon, did I make it in time?
Yeah, we've got like 3 minutes. It's all good.
Excellent.
Really great session. And I think it's really important that we kind of get this overview of what it is that we mean by the language, right? Because I do think everybody hears metaverse and thinks headset, yeah. And it's not just about that. It is that blend of how we can connect. It's exactly what you're saying. And I think it's really important. And I'm really looking forward to avatar features and all of that kind of stuff, because I think it will actually change the way that we're working,
Yeah, and I think from the experience with Altspace VR and the other VR spaces, I think it's going to be very great on the meeting experience. Of course, it's important to think, okay, on which kind of meetings we are going to be using those. It's not suitable, hey, let's change everything to Metaverse or Mesh for Teams. That's not the optimal thing. That's not going to happen. But instead, we will see some of the trainings perhaps, but especially workshops, ideations, gatherings when we are there together. That's when those 3D spaces are making sense, because hey, the spatial audio, that's amazing stuff when you are talking to people. You can create instant breakout rooms there by just splitting people to different corners. Mm-hmm. and guiding or shouting to everyone. That's because it's two-way communication that's happening all the time. That's not what's happening in Teams. We can't really speak on top of each other, and we are always speaking from one to all. So that's like a bad database design. So it's kind of fun. But I'm really happy I got some very slight Power Platform Dynamics connection to this session as well.
Good work. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the Altspace on the events that I've attended in there. It's exactly what you're saying. You kind of walk towards a group of people and you hear conversational buzz. We don't get that in Teams. It is different. So to bring that kind of functionality in here without everybody having to go out and buy the headset and feeling, marginalized that they're not in the headset gang, is going to be really, really important. So I'm really keen to see how this plays out. And I know everybody's a bit, will it, won't it? Is it just a buzzword? I don't think so. I think we're really going places this time. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And all of us should be going to one particular place, and that would be Metaverse 1.
Of course, yes. The heart.
Links are in the chat, and this will be out on YouTube before the event, so we will be pushing the event as well. I should be one of the moderators in one of the rooms at Metaverse 1. Can't not be a part of it. And really look forward to seeing some of you there. But thank you so much, Vesku.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, Sharon. It's great.
It's always great to hear from you, and thanks for letting us be the first in your season.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Thank you again for everybody for coming. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the content that we're putting out. Please do come along and join the community. If you search for Cambridge Power Platform User Group, do come along and join as a member, and then you'll get notifications as things go live on YouTube and for the next event. But thank you ever so much, everybody, for coming along. It's great to be part of a community where technology is constantly evolving, not just around the Power Platform and our use of the Power Platform, but everything else that's going to come in and interact with the Power Platform too. So thanks to all of our speakers. Thanks to you all for attending. See you next time.